My name is Jake, and this is our F550 build. It was a big family project. We have a box manufacturer habitat on an F550 chassis, and we did the majority of the build ourselves, and we'll show more of that detail in a bit here. But we started working with ADVmobil and had them do the suspension modifications with liquid spring, the Michelin tires, and their bumper frame extension, and they ordered the box to our design. We worked back and forth with them to get the layout just how we wanted it. We were interested in traveling as a family of four, and a lot of the rigs that we went to look at when we were researching this project were really optimized for two people. So we focused on the layout for our family of four, how we travel, and I'm excited to go over some of those details and what we ended up with. So 4 years ago, we were at the Expo for our first time, and we were researching which chassis to use, and trying to select a habitat manufacturer. At that time, there was another box manufacturer build here, and we got a chance to see firsthand how the box was constructed, how the doors were built, and we're really impressed with the integrated doors. The 3-point latching on the entry door and the garage doors was really impressive, and really liked that there were no thermal breaks at all, so that the foam sandwich construction has aluminum extrusion on the interior and the exterior corners, but no thermal break. So I was a big fan of that. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade and training, so I've had a lot of experience dealing with construction and energy systems and product development. So I was interested in all the fine details, from hinges to door latches to construction methodology. So after we were at the show, we were pretty much sold on box manufacturer, and I would definitely do that again, just given the super high quality German build and attention to detail. The details matter to us a lot, so we were really interested in something that was going to last a very long time, perform in all conditions, and be easy to heat, cool, and avoid condensation on the interior. So I used my CAD software to design what I wanted for the profile of the box, the Cabover design, the clearances, the profile of the exterior, and then the placement of the door, the windows for how we wanted to use it, and then also how it was going to integrate with the torsion subframe and the storage boxes. There's just so many details that have to come together for a build like this, but it was a fun family project, as I mentioned, and once we got things on order, it was fun to start seeing things take shape and come together. So the storage boxes, exterior and interior, all of the build is, for the most part, aluminum. So typically 1/8" aluminum that was laser cut and then formed. I had a local resource that would do some welding, and then I sent it out for powder coating. We kind of did it in a few different modules. So when we get to the inside, I'll show you that, but we started with the dinette in the back, kind of worked our way around through the galley and storage cabinets, moved our way to the outside for storage boxes, and then there's even a rear storage box that houses some mountain bikes that we had to fit in. So our build, again, was for a family of four, and we wanted to make sure that it was efficient for that, and we also do a lot of traveling to national parks and wanted to do boondocking. So having enough capacity for batteries, water, solar, Starlink, all of those things was super important. So we spent a lot of time figuring out how we could maximize all of those aspects. A few specifications for you. We have two 55-gallon freshwater tanks, a 40-gallon gray tank. All of the plumbing is inside of the box, so there's no concern with freezing conditions. And we wanted to be able to take this through winter conditions, even though we're typically traveling through to get to warmer climates when we are traveling in the winter. And we've had really good luck in very cold temperatures, single digits, no problem at all keeping the box warm, no condensation on the walls or anything. So this is the garage space. These are nice big openings. I'm tall, and I like the fact that I can stand underneath this instead of have to crouch to get in the door, so we made that extra tall. Again, a super nice 3-point latching system, which is super secure, compresses the gaskets on the door very nicely. We've never had a single leak or dust getting in there or anything. So those are fantastic, and they have really nice solid locks on them. So our design and layout was really started with the featuring views. So we put our dinette in the rear of the box, and we wanted wraparound windows. And working with Andreas and Box and ADVmobil, we chose the outbound windows, which have integrated screens and blackout shades, which are really, really nice. They're a great high quality glass window, nice solid latches, they're adjustable, no issues at all. So we wanted to have a wraparound windows in the back of the box so we could sit, have lunch, and then enjoy the views. So it's kind of the starting point for our architecture. Our entry step is actually on kind of integrated with the fender flare, and it has some aluminum drawer slides that have a 750-pound capacity at full extension. So this slides in and latches in place when we're driving, and then these stairs fold up and are stored in this outer storage box. So all of these storage boxes were we designed. It's very important to have a nice aesthetics. We can continue some of the lines like the back departure angle. It's 45 degrees around the tires. It's 30 degrees and centered on the wheel. And just wanted to make those as integrated as possible. Kind of took the same concept and took some aesthetic input from the 1.5-inch chamfer that's on the box and carried that through to all the bevels on the boxes, so it all looks good, and that's even integrated in the interior as well, which I'll show you here shortly. On the back end, we have a mountain bike storage box. So believe it or not, this houses 4 full suspension e-bikes. We take the front tire off and then have them on a rack system, and it works out really well. But nobody really can see them. They're secure, and if we change our travel over time, we can put all kinds of things back here for additional storage. This is on a frame system that is on a receiver hitch that goes into the torsion frame. So this is not mounted on the box structure at all. And it's important to just kind of minimize the loading on the back wall. I know BoXmanufaktur can do some cool stuff with structure and mount spare tires and things like that, but we ended up not needing that. Our spare tire is also mounted off of a frame extension and is on a receiver hitch, and the rear winch lowers the tire down if we ever have to change the spare, so that's not very difficult to get off. Actually, just to manage weight distribution, the batteries go in a storage box closer to the front. This storage box actually drove the design and the size of the rest of them. The goal was to have a mini split air conditioning unit, and the condenser unit is in this storage box. So I found the largest AC unit that we could accommodate with the condenser, and it's a Mitsubishi unit, and that's stored in this box. So this box was actually kind of installed from the top down. The top of the storage box was attached to the underside, and the attachment points were integrated into the aluminum structure from the box itself. So working with BoXmanufaktur and making sure that the floor structure aluminum lined up with where I needed some mounting holes. So it's a super solid connection. And I was able to install the condenser unit on the bottom half and then lift it up into a place and then assemble the boxes from the end. So we've got louvers on the back for air intake, and then the air flow is pushed to the underside of the frame. And in practice, it's virtually silent and have never had any issues with airflow or performance. It works out really well. It was really important to me to not have this big ugly box stuck on the back wall and use that space instead for other things like the mountain bikes and nice big windows. Another couple of small details in the storage box. The fuel fill is here inside the locked storage box, just kind of nice to keep that out of the way, and you don't have a big ugly gas cap sticking out. So again, aesthetics are really important, so a lot of this was integrated to be visually look like it all goes together. The rear bumper also has a city water fill on this side, and on the opposite side, that's our shore power right here. And again, just trying to integrate everything so you don't have ugly utilities sticking out here and there. This side of the garage is very similar to the other side. We have a 40-gallon gray tank, again, that's stored inside, And then there's a drain down through here, so I can hook up a drain hose when we have to dispose of the gray water. Another thing we wanted to have was a lot of storage options, and we lifted the dinette up about 14 inches, so we have a lot of pass-through storage space. We can put skis and snowboards back here very easily and keep them in here. This volume worked out nicely. We actually, if we're doing a trip around more lakes, we will have 2 fold-up tandem kayaks. So the family of 4 of us can go kayaking, and they just fold up in these kind of little suitcase shapes and slide right in here. So it's a nice way that we can kind of outfit our rig depending on the activities that we're going to be doing, whether it's paddling or skiing. Another nice aspect of the BoXmanufaktur design is that I was able to dictate where I wanted reinforcing plates under the skin of the panels. So both on the interior and exterior, they were able to laminate in aluminum plates that I could then drill and install rib nuts for attaching all of the inner components. So our dinette in the back here is elevated, and there's a lot of weight that's being carried on this back plate. Well, that's where one of the aluminum pieces was placed under the skin so that rib nuts could be attached and it could carry a lot of load for the dinette. So again, it's another nice feature. Likewise on the exterior, wherever we want to demount something like awnings now or in the future, I've got plates there just in case. Again, another storage box, AC outlets in here for charging the bike batteries. And then we added an auxiliary 26-gallon fuel tank, and that's the fill location for that. So we've done a few fun trips already. We've finished this build about 2 years ago. I've been trying to spend as much time as possible in it, although we don't live in it full time. I'm very happy to be on the road. Our first trip or maiden voyage was to Alaska. So we finished our build and then left for Alaska in 23, and that was a 9-week road trip. Everything worked out really well. We didn't have any issues for a maiden voyage. It worked out just perfectly. We did about a month and a half in Alaska, spent some time on our way up there, and then also explored Vancouver Island for about 2.5 weeks, which was kind of a surprise how awesome that was for overlanding. So I definitely would do that trip again. So that was our first trip. Since then, we've done a few other 1-month trips to escape Wisconsin winter, headed down to Florida, also been out to Death Valley in California. So the dinette, we spent a lot of time designing because we spent a lot of time in it. We wanted it to be comfortable, have a lot of space for us. So what we settled on was 2 parallel benches instead of a U shape. We just wanted extra table depth. We like to make big family meals and have everything spread out, maybe invite some people over from camping that we met. So this can seat about 6 people comfortably. And we lifted this up so that when I'm standing here looking out the windows or talk to somebody at the dinette, I'm eye level with them. And when I sit down, the same eye level and view out the windows is consistent. So that's part of the reason for lifting that up. And again, the secondary benefit was that we have pass-through storage on the inner side of it. So it worked out really well. We ended up having some custom cushions made. My daughter did all the research on the foam and really nailed it. She's got great layers of foam. It's as comfortable as any couch I've ever been on. So again, we spent a lot of time here with dinners. For function, this does lower down, and sitting at dinettes, there's a lot of ergonomics involved, more than you might recognize. So it's really easy to make one that's uncomfortable, and you got to just make sure all the dimensions are right. So looked up online what typical dimensions were, and then we actually did a plywood mock-up of this before we released the parts just to make sure we had it right. So a lot of tables will be narrower so that they can lower down all the way into the space between. But we ended up having this removable piece here that accommodates the thickness of the table. So when the table goes flush, it is level all the way across here. We can turn this into a third bed, but we rarely do that. What we will do sometimes is set all the cushions flat and put pillows across there. So that's our movie mode if we want to watch a movie some night while we're traveling. The outbound windows, I love the sizes that they offered. They have this huge window, I forget the dimensions on it, but it's just fantastic having an uninterrupted view as you look around and enjoy the scenery while we're traveling and eating. The upper portion is actually a queen size bed. It's maybe 6 inches narrower than a queen size, and that's on track actuators. Source the actuators from Progressive Automations, and it has essentially a standing desk controller with preset heights. So I just have to hit a button and this will go up to storage or lower down for the night. The bed stays made, don't have to deal with it, just disappears up underneath. The LED lighting is from Waveform, and they make a nice high quality, high CRI, low flicker LED light that's dimmable, and we installed it in their tracks. They have a flat version, and then up here you can see that there's a corner version as well. It gives us a lot of indirect ambient lighting so that if there's no shadows in here, it's really nice, and we can dim it down quite a bit at night if we feel like it. So just have a TV, Sonos speaker, there's actually a sub in the cabinet which helps with some movie sound, and servo display over there. And then for the microwave, it's a convection oven as well, so that's nice to have for meals. So we're able to fit a screen door in. This was kind of a late ad, but it worked out just fine. It's this roller screen, and then you can custom order them for whatever opening you have, and then they recommend just bumping it and letting it roll up on its own. So nice way to keep the mugs out. So for the galley, we just wanted to maximize the volume. We're all very tall, so we went with a super tall countertop height and 30-inch depth instead of your standard 24. So it allows us to have full extension 30-inch drawer slides in here. We put the induction cooktop back to the wall, just so we have more working space up in front. We can easily reach over to do whatever we need to on the stove. Sink with a touch on, touch off, so we can keep low water flow while we're using the sink and washing dishes. We've got an Akuva for drinking water, so it's a filter and UV treatment, and then just some dish soap here. The mini split is the Mitsubishi, I think it's 15,000 BTUs. That's 230 volts. So we do have some 230 volt split phase power in here, which powers the mini split induction top, and then actually a washing machine, which I'll show you in the bathroom here in a little bit. So one thing you'll learn is that these builds are never done, and I'm in the process of shifting some of our controls and switches to this corner over here. Ended up being a nice place to feed some control cables up alongside the line set of the AC unit going down. So I'm going to continue to build this out with some more switches. This is just a prototype, just kind of trying it out, see how we like it. I'll probably move the servo display over here as well, just so this is all fairly centralized, so we can operate that while we're sitting at the dinette, or if the bed is lower down, we can operate it from there as well. The bathroom is all aluminum construction as well. We installed L-track in the ceiling, again using some of the reinforcing aluminum plates behind the skin. And we can hang wetsuits for drying or anything else in here to drip off and set out of the way. We have, I think it's a Max Air fan out the side. Tried to minimize the roof penetrations just because it's nice to avoid any leak points. So we went out the side for the exhaust fan. Just have a regular household shower in here, but I did add a thumb valve up on top so you can kind of meter the water flow down to minimize water consumption. We have a towel bar with 4 towels in it, and then the mini washing machine, which is one of the best features in the build. So this doubles as a hamper. We can put dirty clothes in here, and then we'd run a load of laundry maybe once a week to stay on the road as long as possible without having to go to town to find a laundromat. We've got the Thetford cassette toilet, which has worked out really well. The bowl swivels for more knee room, and then the shower pan is aluminum. And that was fabricated with as much slope as possible to get the water to drain to this corner. And the drain, and again, plumbing is all interior, so none of this goes outside for freezing conditions. And that drains to a small sump pump, which then lifts the water up and puts it into our rear water tank in the rear of the rig. So this main cabinet area was the last module that we installed as we worked our way around the build. We went with as large a fridge as possible. We kind of committed to having inverters on all the time, and therefore we're happy to have 120 volt appliances. The Victron system that we have, and I'll show you here in a minute, has a pretty low power draw in standby mode. I think it's only around 11 watts or so. So we chose more of a residential style fridge. This unit is from Beko, and it is 120 volt, but it has an inverter driven compressor, which is kind of a newer thing. So it's a higher efficiency than a 12 volt unit while offering a lot of space. So we have a nice large fridge, top half, and then the bottom third or so, plenty of freezer space. We can have a lot of frozen meat along for making meals, make ice for beverages, and so on. The bottom portion, all of the batteries are stored under here. So there are 6 rack mount style from Signature Solar. We have a total of 30 kW of battery, which is huge. Again, we focused on having everything electrical instead of having LP gas or anything else. So although we do have a gasoline fired Eberspacher heater for both domestic hot water and for space heating, otherwise everything is electric. So with that huge battery bank, we can run our AC unit for 5 days and not really worry about charge levels at all. We went with a 48 volt DC system just for efficiency and minimizing wire sizes. And then all of our controls are Victron inverting. So that's all stored in this cabinet. So we have 2 multi-plus 3000 watt inverters. We have 230 volt power, and then DC to DC converters for going from 48 to 24 and 12 volts. So we have all of the voltages. On the top of the roof, we have 4 solar panels that take up the entire flat portion. I think it's around 1800 watts of solar. And then we have a Sterling DC to DC charger that goes from the engine alternator at 12 volts to the battery bank at 48 volts. And I think that's around 11 or 1200 watts. So on a sunny driving day, we could be recharging our 30 kW battery bank at around 2200 watts. So we're really happy with the pass-through feature from the cab. Has a magnetic catch, and we modified the 60/40 bench seats. Had a local vendor that does car restoration delete the center, so it's easy to crawl through. And then I relocated the factory sub under the floor there. It's a little bit of a step down. So in the Cabover, we have a full king-size bed. That's where the kids sleep. They can stay in bed later while my wife and I get up and make breakfast and have coffee in the morning. So king-size bed. Outbound windows on the front of the Cabover. And for a skylight, we went with the KCT, their largest unit, so we can crawl up through there if we need to. Also mounted on the exterior of the Cabover is the Starlink flat high performance dish. So I was happy to show you around today. If you have more questions or want more information, we did have some YouTube videos put together on our build, so you can check those out. Our handle on YouTube and Instagram is DisappointmentRanch, so you can find us there. And I love talking about the details and lessons learned, so if anybody has questions, feel free to reach out. Be happy to chat more about what we did, why we did it, how we went about figuring all these things out, and the decision process.